I'm Tara.
I'm Ryan.
We love Disney movies.
So we decided to watch them all, from Snow White
to Frozen 2 and beyond. Each episode will watch a different Walt Disney Animated Studios film and tell you all about it.
Did we like it? Does it hold up? Who's our favorite hero?
Or villain.
We'll give you history and fun facts about each movie.
And sometimes we'll invite our friends to watch along with us.
So put on your tiara
or your evil crown
and join us on our adventure.
This is Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries.
Ahoy, fairy tale mateys! Welcome to a Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries MiniTale. We are doing Muppet Treasure Island today.
Yes, we are.
Now, we know that last week you heard Treasure Planet. We did not. We recorded that a long time ago, so if it sounds like we're trying to remember stuff just from last week, we are not suffering from some sort of memory loss. I guess we are. It's just over a longer time frame than you think it is. We were talking about that as we were watching it. Tara, this was your idea to watch this as our mini-tale after Treasure Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why were you so excited to watch this?
Oh, I love this one. This is one I grew up on along with Muppets Christmas Carol. This was probably the other Muppets movie for me that I watched a lot. Mm-hmm. I can quote it. I pretty much know the words to every single song and sang along.
Yes, she did.
But it's just one of my favorites. I think it's in that same vein. I don't know if that's the right phrase, but it's similar to Muppets Christmas Carol, where it's based on a true story. So there are a lot of not a true story. I'm sorry. Not sorry. Not based on a true story. Based on a fictional story.
It's based on a piece of classic literature.
Okay,
yes.
Yes. Sorry.
It's not an original story like the previous Muppet movies had been.
Yes. So it's based on a classic. Like Muppets Christmas Carol, it has all the Muppets. It has humor. It has music. It has
a wonderfully trained British actor, just loving his role. This one is Tim Curry as opposed to
I don't think I realized Tim Curry is British. How did I not know that?
Well, he's British in that, like that's an accent.
Yeah, but he's not British born, is he?
Isn't he? I think he is.
You could be right, and I just don't know.
Well, what do you know him from other than this? Like, what is your
Clue? Legend.
So he's doing a British accent in Clue. He's doing a British accent in...
So maybe I've just never thought about it. I guess that makes me sound pretty foolish on the air. Born in
Grappenhall, Cheshire.
I just never thought about it. Well, now I feel like a fool.
That's okay. You don't look like a fool.
Well, maybe you should.
I'm not going to cut it out. No, it's staying in. She's giving me the cut single, but it's sticking. I have, like, historically kind of poo-pooed this movie a little bit. I think kind of in a similar vein that I did Emperor's New Groove, where I was like, it's not a classic, blah, blah, blah. Because I think
you're a Muppets purist. You kind of talked about that a little bit on Muppets Christmas Carol. So I think for you... I think when these ones came out, I don't think you were super pumped to see them. And
Wrong. I saw this in theaters 3 times.
Really?
In theaters. We loved it.
Then why did you poo-poo it?
Because I think later I went, well, it's not as good as the original classics. And it's not, in my opinion. But it may be like my 4th favorite Muppet movie, which is in good company. Mm-hmm. I like it better. It's been a long time since I've seen Muppets Take Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember liking Muppets Take Manhattan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm starting to think that Great Muppet Caper probably may not have been as good as I remembered it. But anyway, I have kind of been like, because everyone's like, oh, it's the best Muppet movie. And I'm like, that what kind of ruffles my feathers. But people are allowed to have their own opinions, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Watching it this time, like, especially the first, like, 10 to 15 minutes are just like, I'm laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
We meet,
and that's why I said it's gives you all the feels that Muppets Christmas Carol does for me.
Well, I don't agree with that. Muppets Christmas Carol feels like it has a lot more heart. This feels like kind of more of a goofball movie, but I'm really enjoying it.
I feel like you still laugh at it. You still connect with the characters. You feel for them. I see what you're saying. But
but there's not like a good story. Like this one doesn't feel as wholesome as Muppet Christmas Carol. Muppet Christmas Carol has been elevated since recently for me. This one's still just a fun movie. Like, Muppet Christmas Carol, I would say, is like a film versus a movie. Like, this is just but they nail the whole, like, adventure story of this very well. Mm-hmm. So we're going to kind of go through now and talk a little bit. I'll throw in some facts here and there. I mean, I don't really want to go super into the plot because we literally just did this plot for the listeners last week because it is very similar to Treasure Planet.
Yeah, if you want to point out the differences, as I mentioned in our last episode, have not read Treasure Island, and my brain has completely dumped everything from Treasure Planet from when we originally recorded it.
Yeah, so, I think that was one of the ones that you were kind of like, it's like you weren't.
I enjoyed it, but as far as like the core story, it's hard for me to remember, oh, this is the same as Muppets Treasure Island or vice versa.
Well, if I remember the recording correctly, because we also haven't edited that one yet, but I do reference a lot of what happens in Treasure Planet to beats in Muppet Treasure Island to make you go, okay, so that's Sam the Eagle, that's this. Mm-hmm. Because, and I think that's actually what gave you the idea to watch this one.
Probably. I think, too, because Travis hadn't seen it, and I really hope he...
Muppet Treasure Island?
Yeah, I really hope he watches it.
Okay, interesting. I'll have to follow up with him.
Yeah, one thing I would like to do, I wrote down each song, and of course my notes are the beat-for-beat story, because we watched it, so it's in, that order. But I figured I'd just read to you anything that I wrote in my notes, and then if you want to chime in with facts, so this way we could do it that way. But the first song is Shiver My Timbers, and I love this song.
I didn't remember that song.
It's so good. It's such a good pirate song, and it's no Muppets. It's all human actors because it's Flynn.
Well, no, all the pirates are human actors.
Yes, I'm sorry.
But there's all those little Muppets in the foreground.
Yes,
it's like
that's
the
what I
creatures
meant.
on the island.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. All the pirates are humans. And then the creatures, you just said that, but the creatures are Muppets.
Yes, so we're going to go through as we do this, and we're going to identify some of our favorite Muppets, because I want to talk about that octopus that just sticks its head in and, like, sings a refrain real quick.
Yeah.
I just love that octopus.
This song is so good. And then it kind of cuts from that to Billy Bones warning Jim Hawkins and telling the story, beware of the one-legged man, which that follows the plot of the original and of Treasure Planet. And the actor who plays Billy Bones,
Billy Connolly.
And he is so great. He's so over the top. I believe
it's Billy Connolly. Sir Billy Connolly.
Ooh, good for him.
Yes.
But he is so over the top, but in the most perfect way. It's so good.
He is quoted as, he takes great pride. I believe he's still alive. If not, he's died recently. But he takes great pride in being the first person to die in a Muppets movie.
Oh, and his death is hilarious and wonderful and so good.
The part where he gets the black spot
and screams,
and just like that's just hilarious to me. I do want to. Can I talk about that real quick? Because
sure.
Do you remember in Pirates 2 they give him the black spot and a thing grows on his hand?
Yes.
I'm like, this is a thing from pirate lore. It's not. It's something apparently Robert Louis Stevenson made up himself. And it's essentially the idea that pirates are presented with a black spot to officially pronounce a verdict of guilt or judgment. It consists of a circular piece of paper or card with one side blackened while the other side bears a message and is placed in the hand of the accused.
He didn't have it as being from the Bible. I found that interesting that later on, John Silver gets one when the mutiny happens later, and it's on a page from the Bible. And so I was wondering if that was like very specific to the black spot. It says just a piece of paper.
I wonder if it has something that might be what happens in the book.
Possibly.
But yeah. it was also funny that it kind of feels like a jokey device in this, because like Billy Bones gets one, he's like, the black spot! Ah! Like, it's like the worst thing in the world you can get, and it's literally just a dot on a piece of paper.
Yeah, but it's basically saying, your time is up.
Yes,
like,
but
we're coming for you.
Yeah, but it's also exactly what it was in the book.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, I don't know, I just thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Who gives him the black spot again?
Oh, my favorite Muppet, Blind Pew. He is so good. I love him. He can't see. He's the one who gives him the black spot, and it's a pirate death sentence.
Tara does this thing that I find extremely endearing when something's really funny, where she laughs, and then she does a second laugh, like, in this higher register, where you're like, I can't do it. and that sounded really like I was making fun of her. She was just, it's the normal laughing range and then like an octave higher, which is something really funny. And she was just losing it at Blind Pew.
I love Blind Pew, and we found out that they did create him for this, and then he appears in Muppets Most Wanted.
Which I have not seen.
I have not seen that either, but I love him so much. But to back up before I sing praises of Blind Pew, no, that's fine. We meet Jim Hawkins, Gonzo, and Rizzo. They're kind of a team. They work in the inn.
Are they related?
They say they're family, but I don't think they are. Yeah, I think they consider themselves family because Jim is an orphan.
I thought it was because they do that in the Muppet and Great Muppet Caper where Fozzie and Kermit are twins.
Yes, yeah.
I think I've talked about that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I posted the picture of their dad.
My question is, with Treasure Island, is he an orphan? Because in Treasure Planet, his mom owns the inn, so
I don't
he's
know.
not an orphan.
I think he might be an orphan in it.
So I was curious if this one matches a little bit closer in that regard.
Now tried to read the book a long time ago when I was young, and I found it like hard to read because it's written in like 1880s stuff. When I was in like middle school trying to read it, didn't really work well for me. So I'm not the expert there. Although
I know Travis was.
We might have answered this question a week ago.
We may have. But Something Better is the next song, and that one is primarily Jim Hawkins kind of daydreaming and singing. It's an okay song, but
thumbs down. I wasn't a fan.
His voice is so high pitched, and I know you have a fact about that. Also, we were talking about the actor was 16 when he played this role, so I think you had a few facts.
Well, they may have recorded it before, but he went through puberty during filming, so they had to overdub his singing performance with older recordings of the songs.
Oh wow, that's
and
gotta be
they are
tricky.
very Vienna Boys Choir.
That's got to be tricky for child actors who singing, right? If you're cast at that age, and depending on how long a film goes for and how much you do. All right, so back to Blind Pew because I love him. So they all come back. After he gives them the black spot, he leaves. And the whole bit is he's blind, so he like bumps into things, but then thinks it's someone else's fault. He thinks Jim Hawkins is a girl because he has longer hair. And for me, the bit is great. I love it. I can't get enough of it. When they all come back, there's this huge battle with all the pirates looking for the treasure map. And they wind up setting everything on fire. And my favorite line from Blind Pew is, "I think I smell something burning, no?" It tickles me so much because as he says it, the entire inn is on fire. Like, there's literally nothing in that inn that is not burning. Like, it's so good. I love him. I could just watch the clips of him, and that's it. Like, he's not in the rest of the movie. He's just in this beginning, but he's so good.
I have another little fact about the inn.
Okay.
After Jim Henson's death, Rolf the dog was not recast for several years, as he was considered the character closest to Henson's actual personality, even more so than Kermit the Frog. In this movie, Rolf appears but did not speak in the first scene of the tavern.
Interesting. I don't know that I saw him in the tavern.
He was being escorted out when they closed it.
Okay.
I bump on Rolf because I think Rolf is like my favorite Muppet.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I relate to Fozzie the Bear a lot, but like I like Rolf the most. And I remember this and Muppet Christmas Carol, and that might have been some reason I like these a little less because like Rolf's not really in it.
Yeah. They did something similar with Scooter, how they didn't cast him in Muppet's Christmas Carol. Because
Richard Hunt, I believe.
And what do we say? Puppeteer, Muppeteer?
A Muppeteer, actually, yeah.
Because he had passed, and I like that. That's their way of paying tribute and their way of, especially Jim Henson. I mean, obviously, so significant. But I think when any of the Muppeteers pass away, their mark and their characters are so beloved by so many people. So I think that's hard to. It's like big shoes to fill, but especially Jim Henson. But also, can we just talk about the woman who owns the inn? And I wrote her name down, but Miss Blueveridge. That's not it, but I can't remember what it is.
It's something ridiculous.
Ridge, maybe? It's something like that.
I feel like she can't possibly be the name of the person. So that's Jennifer Saunders, who was on Absolutely Fabulous, is like a big British actress. What else has she been in?
Okay. She was over the top as well, but I love that she kicks butt. Like, she beats up all the pirates. She slaps one across the face back and forth.
I want to jump ahead a little bit because, like, after that they get the map from Billy Bones. I don't know if I said that. They go and they meet Squire Trelawney, and I forgot Bunson's character name. But we talked about in Treasure Planet how David Hyde Pierce's character, whose name I can't remember at this point, the professor, was an amalgamation of those two characters.
I see. And then also Fozzie being the young squire. Mr. Bimble, who lives in his thumb, the man who lives in his thumb, I'm assuming that is completely...
Yes.
That doesn't follow any of the true story.
That was apparently...
I keep saying true story, but you know...
listeners,
you know what I mean. Based on the original classic.
Frank Oz apparently didn't like that joke at first. He thought it was dumb. And then, like, by the end, he's like, that's my favorite joke.
I think because they keep it up throughout, I think it becomes kind of an endearing, kind of funny joke. Right. But at first, I think you react like Rizzo and Gonzo react.
Yeah,
and
you're like, well,
this
is
okay,
weird.
this is, like, what are we getting ourselves into?
Because it feels very not Fozzie. It's not something Fozzie.
Yes, yeah.
I wanted to point out Frank Oz did the voices of Sam the Eagle, Fozzie, and Miss Piggy. This is also Sam the Eagle's first time having a major role in a Muppet movie.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But Frank Oz wasn't on set.
Oh.
He was directing Bowfinger. So he recorded all his lines, they do like a run through. Mm-hmm. And then Kevin Clash, who is the voice of Elmo, did the puppeteering and actually did the voice from on set.
Oh,
and
interesting.
then Frank Oz came back and recorded over it.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they do some of that stuff sometimes when, like, those two characters are there together. Someone's, puppeteering it differently. But I thought that was interesting. Like, he sat down with Kevin Clash and went, talked to him through, like, this is what I think of when I think of this character, and this is what I think of when I think of this character.
It sounds like that they did their due diligence and a lot of thought was put into, like, to make sure it was still authentic. That is very interesting, but it also seems like something that, like, wouldn't happen all the time. It's like this was a specific set of circumstances because it does seem like for the most part they would want everybody there, right?
I mean, now the whole thing with the Muppets is they're like,
I guess now it's different.
They're swapping out actors all the time, so
yeah. Statler and Waldorf are the
masthead, I believe.
Yeah, of the ship. So that's kind of a fun way to include them, and they have a pretty major role later on in the film.
Well, they save the day.
Yeah, which is pretty great.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that we get introduced to Tim Curry's character with him singing "What Shall We Do with a Drunken Sailor." I don't know if you actually know that song because he starts with the chorus. But I love that that's his intro.
Said that, like, being a pirate myself, of course I know that song.
You know that song. But I love that that's the introduction to his character, and I love how they reveal his one leg. So he's sitting on, what are those? Is it a galley door? What are those doors?
That sounds right, galley door.
Yeah, or like a farmhouse door where like the top opens and the bottom opens.
Yeah.
That would be, but there is no top in this. There's just the bottom. So he's sitting on the ledge, and so he's introducing himself. He's talking to Jim, and they're getting to know one another. And we find out he's Long John Silver. He's got a pet lobster, Polly, which I know you've got a fact about. But I love how they reveal it because this whole time they're chatting and the way he's sitting, you have no idea. You can't see his legs. And then when you open the door, then it's beware of the man with one leg.
Yes.
And so it's a very cool reveal.
I also liked the bit of, like, I thought pirates had parrots, and they're like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
They had a parrot originally for that. That was a female parrot from when John Cleese was on the Muppet Show, and they had written that parrot to like hit on John on Silver, and they thought that was weird. And then they had another parrot, a male parrot named Stevenson, that was going to explain all the differences between the movie and the book. And then eventually they came up, they went with Polly.
I love Polly the lobster. I think it's funny that he's a lobster and not a parrot. I love that bit. And I just think he's gritty, right? Mm-hmm. Like John Silver.
He's got a hook hand. One of his hands is a hook.
Yeah, well, and Long John Silver is very charming and very smooth. And that's the whole bit. Like he's trying to keep his cover. But I think Polly is gritty like the rest of the pirates. And we see that Long John Silver is as well, but you don't really see that in the beginning.
Well, if you remember from Treasure Planet, the whole bit was Silver was, like, redeemed or, like, pretty much given a redemption story and was a good guy. And this one, he's still charming as heck, but they make like he does a good thing in the end. And,
and he still cares for Jim,
Yeah.
not in the same way. I feel like in Treasure Planet, it's a much more emotional attachment, and
Right.
he mentions in Treasure Planet, I'm getting feelings for the boy or the
Yeah.
lad or whatever it is. Whereas in this, when all the pirates are about to mutiny and go after Long John Silver and he holds them off, he lets Jim go when
Yeah.
he's captured. And he says, I do like you, like I'm telling you the truth about that. But I don't think you feel it as strongly as you do in Treasure Planet. I think
Right.
there's a relationship there, but I don't think it's the same type of relationship.
But what I'm saying is Tim Curry is so charming.
Yes.
Like he's definitely the villain, and if we were doing a full episode on this, and when we do a Jim Henson season,
I can't wait.
We will definitely do a full episode on this.
Mm-hmm.
But he's the villain, like no question.
Yeah.
Even though at the end, like he has the opportunity, he's a villain who's not super. I mean, he is antagonistic, but he's not trying to kill the hero. He's just trying to.
No,
get the
he's
treasure.
got one very clear goal,
Yeah.
and he sees that through.
He's got a code, and at the end, he's still. We'll get there.
Yeah. So then we're introduced, as we talked about, Mr. Eagle, which is
Mr. Eagle. He's Mr. Arrow,
Mr.
but it's Sam
Arrow,
the Eagle.
Sam the Eagle.
Mr. Eagle was my father.
I'm just all over the place today. So Sam the Eagle is Mr. Arrow, the first mate, and Kermit is the captain.
Yes.
So we are introduced to them.
I really like the introduction of Kermit where the really mean-looking British character actor walks out first.
It's so good. And because Arrow is talking about how intense the captain is, and then when they reveal that it's Kermit,
yes.
Everybody,
I know.
Yeah. And then you see Rizzo selling tickets for the Caribbean cruise. So this bit goes throughout where these rats are on a cruise. So you see them on the boat, swimming, dancing, all the things you would do on a cruise, they do throughout the film.
We talked about that in Muppet Christmas Carol, that the reason they did that here is because the rats being kind of like meta in Christmas Carol went over so well.
Yeah, and I think it goes over well here too. There's some funny little bits with it.
I love when they're all dancing and a bunch of them are making, or like, having loving moments. One's like, I mean to say yes. I mean to say yes. And then they just start kissing.
And then they just start kissing,
I think that's so
and then
funny.
they're going to go for another couple's going to go for a moonlight swim. And then the tourists, when they're on the island, and it's like a tour group.
Oh, yeah, this is the spot of a scene.
We're
from
on
the movie
location.
Muppet Treasure Island.
Yeah. But the next song comes in, Sailing for Adventure. I like this song because we get to meet all of the crew. So in this song, you get to see all of kind of the major players who are on the ship.
Of the repurposed Muppets from like Fraggle Rock and stuff like that.
And there's a lot of real good ones. This is where we also meet Old Tom, Real Old Tom, and Dead Tom.
Well, yeah, there's the roll call after this.
Yes, yeah.
Where they have big bad ugly baby eating O'Brien, and it's that woman who comes out that when I was watching it.
And she's not in the rest of the movie.
No.
She's just there.
Well, because remember we established the 4 human pirates are Short Stack Stevens, Black Eye Pea, Jerry, and then the other one.
Yeah.
Because there's the part later where he goes, Jerry's just a kid, he just yells at him.
Yes. So who's your favorite of the pirates?
Of all the pirates?
Take out Long John Silver because he is my favorite. But out of the rest of the crew and the pirates.
I like, okay, so I have 2. Can I do 2?
I don't care.
Okay, I would hold you to 1, but I can do 2. I like Walleye Pike because I like the whole bit later, and then I like the guy whose name is something the Mud Bunny from Fraggle Rock, but he's the one who like puppeteers Dead Tom.
Oh yes.
When he's like aye, and then later when he's like Dead Tom's dead.
He's like he shot
and
Dead
he kisses
Tom.
him so like lovingly on the nose. He's
yes.
Like, and then they explain it to him. He's like, oh, it just throws him away.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite? Yeah.
Clueless Morgan.
Oh, yeah.
I love Clueless Morgan.
Well, your
so
favorite
much.
is Blind Pew, but
yes,
he didn't
but
make
Blind
it
Pew
onto
isn't on the ship.
Right.
So
can I give you a little cool piece of trivia you might like?
Sure.
David Bowie and Mick Jagger were both seriously considered for the role of Long John Silver before Tim Curry was cast.
Wow.
David Bowie has also been considered for another pirate role, Captain James Hook in Hook.
Wow. I would have been really interesting to see his take on either one of these characters. I think Tim Curry was the right choice for this, and the same with Hook.
Hook, we have. I don't know if we. I think
it's Dustin Hoffman. Right?
Yes,
yeah.
But we have decided we'll be on Childhood Trauma Theater.
I think so. Yes. Where we start to see the bond between Silver and Jim is when they're talking about the stars. I will say that you start to see a connection there. Mm-hmm. With the bond. Again, I don't think it's as strong as it is in Treasure Planet, but we do see it there. They also at one point capture Rizzo and Gonzo, and they're torturing them, but of course Gonzo enjoys it, and I love that they stretch him out, and then it's Beaker and Bunsen. I forget their characters' names in this.
Well, one of them is Beaker. Beaker is just Beaker.
Yes. But to reverse him being all stretchy, I like that his arms are floating on the ship and he goes and he tickles Kermit.
Who's like way away.
Yeah.
You know what that looked like? That looked like Muppet Vision 4D scene.
Yes,
because he's like
did.
way in the background.
Yeah.
I will say in this one, there's a lot more interesting, like it feels like there's a lot of foreground and background stuff that wasn't happening as much in Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol felt like big, wide sets, shots.
Yeah.
And this one is like, they move up and they move back, a little more dynamic, smaller shots. Mm-hmm. But I like what he does it because he goes, "Pooly, pooly, pooly, pooly," which I think is really funny for some reason.
Yeah. So the next big song is Cabin Fever, which I think is for a lot of people their favorite number. It's big, it's flashy, it's very funny. There's a lot of different styles. At one point there's square dancing. You know, it's basically all these fever dreams that everybody's having when they're having cabin fever. So you said this used to be your favorite song, and we'll talk about your favorite when we get to it.
Yes, this one's really funny to me.
Yeah.
I just thought it was real goofballs. But I wanted to point something out. I was just looking back at my note about the black spot. Blind Pew is a character from the book.
Really?
He is Billy Bones. Is frightened by it, yet remains determined to outwit his enemies. However, he suffers a stroke caused by the overconsumption of liquor and is killed by the blind beggar Blind Pew.
I love that even more. I love that because they had to create Blind Pew. So I love that they based him on a character from the book and then created him for
because I was trying to think, because Blind Pew is such a weird name to not be
based off somebody.
Joke or a pun. Yeah.
And then he was French as well. Like, there were a lot of very specific things about him that maybe they took from the book.
When I didn't think he was from anything, it felt like that salmon in Will Arnett's pocket. He's like, hello.
Does Arrow go overboard in...
Yes, he dies. They kill him, I think, in a storm.
Okay.
But this one I like when he's like, the boat's unsafe, and he just goes away.
Yes, and that's how they get him off, and how they get him off the ship. And then again, you see Tim Curry is so good at being like this cunning, silver-tongued villain, because he is at the memorial for Mr. Arrow. Everybody's at the memorial, but he has taken Mr. Arrow's keys when he got him on the lifeboat. And so the other pirates are stealing the map and doing all that stuff. So he still kept his cover, which I thought was a good bit. And then Jim winds up overhearing it. And then the next plan is he overhears that Silver's involved. And then the captain sends them all ashore. I like the line when all the pirates are in the boat and Polly the lobster says, "Wow, he's just given it to us all on a silver platter." And then Silver's like, "Don't trust the silver platter." And I like the way he gets Jim on the boat. So he at first invites him to come on the adventure, and Jim doesn't want to do it.
Kind of to check.
Yeah, to see, does he know, does he not know? And then he puts his crutch out and then pulls Jim into the boat, which I think is a good way to get him on the boat. And that's basically his insurance policy. So they're not going to leave without Jim.
I just have a fact I've been sitting on. I need you to get to the pig so I can do this
fact.
Oh,
okay. Well,
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's just because we come to Professional Pirate, which is my new favorite song.
Yes. So that's the next thing in my notes is a professional pirate. And now Silver is all dressed up. He's the captain. And this is another really good, solid song. It showcases Tim Curry very well.
This is my only number.
Yes, he's hamming it up. It's perfect, and the humming in the background throughout is probably my favorite part of the whole number.
I like the chords they're using.
It's really, really good. So the captain, Rizzo, and Gonzo, they leave the ship to go save Jim, and they don't realize pirates are still on board, and so pirates take control of the ship.
Right.
So that's what's happening with everybody else, and then the islanders capture the captain capture Kermit, Gonzo, and Rizzo.
With the cool bit with the glowing eyes.
Yes, yeah, where they think they're alone in the dark and they're not going to do anything till morning, and then all these other eyes show up and you see that it's the Islanders. And then the next song is Boom Shakalaka.
I mean, it's kind of a song. It's more of a
Oh, it's on the soundtrack.
But it's, is it really?
Yeah.
Well, it's a big number, and with that's a real elephant.
It's a real elephant. Miss Piggy comes in on a real elephant. Benjamina
Yes.
Gunn is her name in this. And is there a Benjamina?
There's Ben Gunn.
Oh, that's
Remember,
right.
because he's in Treasure Planet, he's the robot B-E-N.
Yes. That's right.
So I have a little fact about the pigs. Hormel Foods Corporation, makers of Spam, sued the production company for making the name of a warthog character Spam.
Wow.
I remember this. This I remember. Their suit was defeated on September 22nd, 1995. The judge noted that one might think Hormel would welcome the association with a genuine source of pork. Which, that seems a little, sassy for this judge.
Yeah, but it seems like a silly thing to sue over.
I don't know what they thought. It wasn't like it was just a joke because he was a pig.
They didn't
on,
even
an
use
island.
the logo of Spam or anything. It was they didn't.
Because Spam is so popular in Hawaii, I think they were just trying to make a Polynesian pig character. That was his name. I don't know. I mean, the whole thing has a little bit of an issue with a tribal vibe and
yes. I was curious what your thoughts were on that.
It was iffy, but it's also they're pigs, and it's a Muppet movie from '96. So
yeah, but I will say that joke goes by so quick too. They don't the Spam joke. They don't really give it a lot of attention. So
yeah.
We find out that Benjamina is upset with Kermit. We don't really know why yet, but we find out later on that it's because he left her at the altar, and we find out that she has not the best taste in men because she does get involved with Flint, and that's how she comes to this island in the first place.
And apparently sometime on the boat she got involved with Long
Silver
John.
as well. And Jim Curry gets to kiss Miss Piggy. I don't know that many other humans have kissed Miss Piggy.
Well, I don't think you've seen The Great Muppet Caper.
I don't think so, no.
Charles Grodin is in love with her.
Oh.
He is trying to steal her away from Kermit. It is really good.
But didn't he kisses her?
I don't remember if he actually kisses her. I think he definitely tries.
Yeah.
But we need to do a full Muppets
agreed.
thing.
So when they find the treasure, all the chests are empty, and this is when he says, "Run, save yourself, Jim. I'll hold them off." When they all turn to mutiny onto him. And they tie Silver up. They give him the black spot. And I love how he gets out of this. He guilt trips them all.
On a page from the Bible.
Yes, no less. And then when they're all apologizing, that's when Thoughtless Morgan is like, Clueless Morgan, you're beautiful. You're
precious.
You're precious. So then they're all together again. They don't wind up executing Long John Silver. They're still going to look for the treasure.
Jim frees Rizzo and Gonzo.
Yes. Which I guess we should say, the Islanders, all the pigs, they tie up Rizzo, Gonzo, and Kermit.
They find Kermit and Piggy, and Piggy has a necklace made of doubloons, so Silver's where is it?
We have to talk about Mr. Arrow coming back, because that's a good bit. Because
these are all happening simultaneously, kind of.
Yeah.
So Jim and Gonzo and Rizzo go to the boats, and they've been speared by all the natives, and that's when Mr. Arrow is he's
completely clueless. He's just headed to the island. Yeah.
And then he goes, "By the way, that Silver character can't be trusted."
Yeah. And so when they all head back to the boat, how they take back the ship is they put flour on Mr. Arrow because they know how superstitious pirates are, and he becomes the ghost of Mr. Arrow.
Boogie, boogie.
So good. So that happens, and then as that's happening, you find out the backstory with Kermit and Miss Piggy, and then Long John Silver comes up on them. As you mentioned, the necklace of gold doubloons kind of gives away that she knows where the treasure is. And they wind up tying both of them from a tree hanging over the ocean from a very high cliff when they go to look for the treasure at her place.
They start singing a love song.
Love Let Us Hear.
I was not a fan of.
But what you did like is the treasure montage.
Yes, when everyone cut to the pirates and they're like, that's their treasure.
Yeah, as they're celebrating all the treasure they found.
And then Piggy's thing snaps and Kermit catches her and has like the funniest
His
face.
face is so good because he's straining so hard to hold on to her. I love when they do that. And that's where Statler and Waldorf save the day. So as the ship comes in to try to save Kermit and Miss Piggy, they wind up catching them before they go into the water.
But then the ship crashes on the beach and it turns into a sword fight between like good guys and bad guys for a while.
Yes.
Kermit, turns out to be a pretty good sword fighter. I remarked how Piggy always ends up fighting like real people in these movies.
Yeah.
So she fights the pirates and then except for Jerry, who's fighting Jim, and that's when Silver goes, "Come on, Jerry, he's just a kid." I'm like, Jerry?
But Kermit has a tattoo of Miss Piggy on his chest.
During the final fight,
yes,
yeah.
And when we're showing off how good of a swordsman he is, when he gets to Silver, he cuts off all his buttons and he cuts the hat, and I really liked that part. I liked it a lot.
Silver's just kind of standing there because like
he's watching everything, but he's not really in the fight.
Well, I'm saying when he's fighting Kermit, he's like very stationary because like they really kept him on the 1 foot thing. Like, it's a pretty easy. Like they either had his foot in a blue sock to like take out. Like a blue screen thing.
Yeah.
Or like he was just tucked behind him.
Yeah.
Apparently he had a peg leg in one version. He was like, this is too uncomfortable.
Well, you said that it's one of his most favorite, right? He was quoted.
He said, and the same thing as Michael Caine. Now, I know we joked about Michael Caine in Muppet Christmas Carol being like, I'm going to play this as serious as a heart attack.
Yeah.
And I think Tim Curry doesn't play this seriously. But he plays it extremely earnestly. Like he's playing a maniacal, fun pirate character, and he's not doing like, "Hey, I'm a pirate." Like he's not.
He never
winking.
shies away from his goal. I feel like he has a very specific goal in mind on what this character should be, and I think he fulfills that.
His performance would be just as welcome in a performance of the him playing Long John Silver in a regular Treasure Island movie. The writing is just a little goofier
and campier.
Yeah, and then like Scrooge's writing was not funny at all.
Yeah, well, and as we talked about with Muppets Christmas Carol, a lot of it was almost verbatim out of the book. A lot of the lines, so it's a little bit different with that. But he said this is it's one of his most favorite roles, right?
Yes, he got they made him on as his last day. A likeness of him as Long John Silver as a Muppet and gave it to him.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Do you have a picture of that?
No, it's just a fact. Let me
really
look up and see if I
cool.
can find a picture.
So basically, just to wrap up kind of the ending here, Silver winds up surrendering. They wind up locking them all up on the ship. And then that's when he realizes he still has Mr. Arrow's keys. So he sneaks out in the middle of the night with all the treasure on a lifeboat. And Jim kind of confronts him and eventually just lets him go and says, I never want to see you again. We didn't talk about this, but Jim has a compass that was from his father. And
that's because the movie barely talks about it.
Yeah, well, he makes it important in the beginning.
My God. Are you ready for this? We're going to have to post this. I know this is terrible audio, but here it is.
Oh my goodness.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Isn't that good?
Wow, that's wild. Yeah, we're going to have to post it. It's also kind of like life size. It's the same height as he is in the chair.
Well, they're just putting it so they're
but
the same
still.
height. The head is about the same size.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, so he sneaks off on his own, and like I said, he gives Jim back the compass, and then Kermit overhears it and was like, your father would be proud. Kermit, the captain, knew his father. And then as he leaves, Mr. Arrow says,
one of the boats is missing, and I can tell you, I know for sure, it is very unsafe. Safe. Slow fade out, hard cut to Silver, like, bailing himself out of the sinking
yeah, and
thing.
Eventually swimming away, like swimming towards the island without any of the treasure.
I have another fact, speaking of boats. Apparently, Brian Henson was very worried that the producer and director, that everyone was going to...
Well, and also Jim Henson's son, right?
Yes. He's worried that the whole cast and crew would get motion sick as the ship rolled on the gimbals, like the things to make it. So he gave everyone seasickness pills for the first day of the shoot. Not only did the cast and crew not get seasick, but they almost all fell asleep on the job. Like they just
That's
got
funny,
really
but
sleepy.
it's so thoughtful. It's kind of a sweet thing to try to make everybody comfortable. I definitely would have probably gotten motion sickness if I
Right.
had to do anything on that was moving back and forth like that.
Anything else you want to say about this one? Like,
Go watch it.
Yeah, it's really good. It's a lot of fun.
It's on Disney Plus.
There's an HE double hockey sticks at the end that I wasn't expecting
There
from
is?
Silver. Yeah, real brief. So if you're letting kids watch it, just watch out for that.
I don't remember it.
It happened. It's when he goes. Now, when I quack out here, sometimes we leave stuff in because we realize when we quack out,
It sounds much
way
worse.
worse. But you'll know what I'm saying here. But he says, "Oh, Jim,
Oh,
I could never
don't-
shoot you or hurt you." or
God,
whatever,
I
so.
think that one just passed me by, but yeah, it's so good. It was just as good as I remember. I've seen it as an adult many times, but it had been a little while since I've watched it, so it was great to rewatch it. And I don't know, had we ever
Yeah.
watched it together?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so it was nice to watch it together.
A couple things I want to say real quick. I would love for you guys to write in, email us, or call us 707-YO-TRPD1 and let us know who's your favorite Muppet in this. Like,
oh,
what's
we
your
would love that, yes.
favorite song.
And
But-
why is it Blind Pew?
And why is it Blind Pew? And very specifically, I would like to hear from former guests Molly and Melissa how many times you guys sang Cabin Fever while listening to this episode, if you listen to this episode. Because I know in our D&D sessions all the time, from across the table, like, Melissa will go, "I have cabin fever," and then Molly will go, "I've got it too." Like, they always do that.
That's so good. I love it.
But
That
guys,
sounds so good.
go check out this movie. Let us know what you thought. Always remember to rate, review, subscribe, and tell a friend about our podcast. And we will see you next time.
Take care, listeners.
Thanks for listening to Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries.
If you want to tell us your favorite Disney villain and why it's guest on, send us an email at trprincessdiaries@gmail.com.
Or you can send a tweet about how great Maleficent is to @TRP Diaries.
Check out our Facebook group by searching for Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries.
Tara and Ryan's Princess Diaries are available on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Overcast, and many more.
Wherever you hear us, please be our knight in shining armor and give us a 5-star review.
Thanks again, and until next time, remember to always live happily ever after.